Welcome to the latest Ticker TV interview. I'm Donald Leggatt, and I'm joined today by Brad George, CEO at Orosur Mining. They're the gold exploration company focused on South America. Orosur owns 100% of the Anza license in Colombia, where it's advancing the flagship Pepas project and beginning a drilling program nearby El Cedro. OMI also owns 51% of El Pantano in Argentina, where it's starting a maiden drilling campaign. It has a market cap currently of around £82 million as of this morning. And Brad George joins us from London to talk through the development pathway for their four major projects. Welcome, Brad. It's always a joy and a pleasure to talk to you.
As always, Donald, I'm enjoying being here. I'm enjoying the weather.
You're enjoying the cold snap. It does you good, a little bit of cold.
And I'm missing the cricket this weekend, although you don't care because you're Scottish.
I don't care because I'm Scottish. Talk to me about football though, Brad.
No, we won't go there. Or rugby. We won't go there either.
Oh, lovely. Certainly won't go there. No, we're not doing so well. Now, life is currently, it's never dull for you, Brad, but it's certainly not dull at the moment. So what's been happening in the last few months since we spoke?
Quite a lot. I'm very busy. Obviously, we're now drilling in two countries. Well, I'd say we, not me, obviously, but the lads are. So that's good. The market likes explorers who actually do explore, which is sort of an odd thing to do, but far too many don't. So that's encouraging, and that will mean results are flowing. And I guess commercially, we've had the resource consultants on site in Aptar for the last couple of weeks, and they've got some feedback now, and we can discuss it later on. And it does seem to be the conference season. So I was over in Toronto a couple of weeks ago with back-to-back meetings, and in Zurich and London. So it's obviously an end-of-year rush for meetings.
Yeah. Now, we're expecting a maiden mineral resource estimate, or MRE, for Pepas, the Pepas Gold Project, by the year end. So why don't you summarise the work that's actually going on the ground at Pepas at the moment? And is that timing still appropriate? Tell all.
Short answer is no. I mean, I had aimed for December, but ultimately I also made the point that it's not my decision to make. This is entirely in the purview of the resource guys. What we did expect was that the last couple of, we've had some holes recently that were little short of spectacular, very thick and very high grade. And that's good. I mean, we love high grade, there's ounces there. But when you get grades that are substantially above the background, that does create some statistical issues. They become outliers. And when you're doing a resource, that can create, not a problem, but you need to define those high grades and to get their size. And you must understand what controls them geologically. If you don't do that, then the resource guys will always just dumb them down, top cut them. So the consultant said, look, it looks good, but we would like you to drill a few more holes, here, around the high grade, which means that will then take us into, we'd hope to get that drilling done by end of first week December, get the results back and close the database mid-December, which means that the numbers will be early January and the report will be late January. So we're pushed back a month, which is probably, it's but done for a good reason. We're doing it to get a much better resource. There's no prizes for being fast in this situation. I'd rather do things as per the book, and we want the best resource possible.
Okay, so what comes next after the MRE is done and published? Do you still plan to move Pepas into feasibility? And I suppose the million-dollar question is near-term production. Do you still have plans for near-term production?
Look, that is the plan, but I've always given the caveat that if we find something different, then we might change. So by having a resource, we now move Pepas into the feasibility stage. But ultimately, there were three internal reasons for deciding to go to resource perhaps a bit earlier than other companies might have done. One, as a company, we had a couple of rough years and we felt it needed to get some runs on the board, some asset on the board to give us a valuation. So that was a commercial market reason. Secondly, yes, it just makes sense. What Pepas is, where it is, all the usual near main road, it just makes commercial sense to pursue near-term production given the gold price and given its nature. So that just makes sense, and we'll do that. But third, it's a permitting issue. So in Colombia, to begin the permitting process, you need to have a resource and a sort of a mine plan. This is how the system works there. So by getting the resource done, by getting a bit of a mine plan done, we can fire the starting gun on the permitting process, and we can then modify afterwards. We can change as we go along, but we've got to start the process. So we'll get the resource done, we'll get a bit of a mine plan done, and we'll get that permitting process begun hopefully in Q1 next year, and it will take as long as it takes. So yes, we are pursuing near-term production. It still makes sense, but the caveat being, if we find a monster, then all bets are off.
Okay, so interesting. But all the work that you're doing currently feeds into that MRE, and all the work that you're doing on the MRE then feeds into feasibility.
Yes, but and we've made the point, I guess, also that from our point of view, we've only begun to explore in the Anza project. Pepas is the first. That was an obvious walk-up target. We haven't touched Aptar. We haven't touched El Cedro. So again, by having a resource at Pepas, we then have the market support to go and have some fun on those potentially bigger projects. So the drilling at Pepas will complete, as I said, in December, and then the rig goes to the looking at bigger projects.
Okay. Talking of where the rig goes, the other gold prospects at Anza are El Cedro and Aptar. So what's happening there right now? What has the exploration work revealed? I mean, that's a biggie. What has the exploration work revealed? Has it changed your thinking? And what are the plans?
I can give you a plan now, but the plan will change next week. Our plans always do, depending on results that come in. Explorations are a fairly sort of a random business. So the plan originally was to then move the rig after Pepas to Aptar. We've kind of changed that now. We think that El Cedro, albeit undrilled, has slightly more exciting scale potential. So the current plan is to look at drilling that in Q1. The caveat being we want to know more about El Cedro. I mean, it's a porphyry system. Maybe we have two of them. The issue, however, is that porphyry is often, while they're always the source of the fluid, the heat, the metals, they are in general, not always, in general a bit low grade. It's what's next to them and above them that's interesting, the epithermal systems that the porphyry feeds into. So those are the things that people want. And we have El Cedro porphyry, very high grade in the centre, but 8-9 grams on the sides. So we're commissioning an airborne mag survey now. That'll be done in this couple of weeks, hopefully. That will better define these flanking epithermal targets, and we'll look to drill the El Cedro system as a first phase in Q1 next year. So, because we think that once we prove the concept, has a much bigger impact on us as a company. Aptar's nice, get it to resource, but that's not going to be a company maker. It'll be nice, but it's not going to be a monster. El Cedro has potential that we think would be more appealing to A, institutions, and B, larger gold corporates. So that's the plan. We'll leave the rig around Pepas for a while, drill around it. El Cedro in Q1 and Aptar after that. So, but again, next week the plans might change. But we think ultimately we do need to start testing these really big projects or really big prospects that to this point have been untouched.
But you could have two company makers. Pepas could potentially be a company maker, and El Cedro could potentially be a company maker. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Pepas we think, is certainly for us great because it just offers that very low cost development, very low cost production, lots of cash flow early. For a small company, that's great. But to get the market's interest in the bigger end of town, you need to have millions of ounces. So we've got a number of ways to play that game around Pepas, but certainly El Cedro is probably the obvious target that has the size potential. Now, I don't predict immediate success from the first drilling program, but if we can just prove the concept and get to numbers, then that gives us all sorts of options we can then explore. We can go it alone, we can JV, we can do a number of things. So getting that at least over the first drill process and get the concept proven gives us nice decision points to reach at the end of Q1 next year.
And that's El Cedro you're talking about there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. So Pepas and then potentially El Cedro, the two immediate priorities.
Yes, I mean, I think Aptar in the middle of the project area, we need to run the last mile to get to a resource. And while that will be a nice resource, it's not going to be a Newmont size resource. It'll be that'll be a nice adjunct to Pepas. But so it's just a sequence of how we do things. I mean, we'll do them all. It's just a question of which ones we do first and our view of which one gives us potentially the biggest bang for the buck in the current gold market. Now, that may mean, of course, we have a second rig at Anza in the new year, so that's we're giving quite serious thought to. So things will be getting busy.
All right, let's talk Toronto. Let's talk Zurich. You were at the Red Cloud Mining Conference in Toronto. Then you went to Zurich, where they predicted the end of the world. What were the institutions telling you when you met them? Were they saying, yes, we want to invest in Orosur, yes, we want to invest in Colombia? What was the mood?
In Toronto, they already have. So we've now got a shareholding base pretty evenly spaced between the UK, which is more retail dominant, and then North America is now half the company, but institutions. One from the capital raising and two from the sale of the Newmont stake. So we've got some really nice chunky names there. 1832 Fund, Rob Cohen, Eric Sprott personally, the Sprott Funds, Zechner 9 Point. So we've got a nice mix of very nice funds. Now these are all long-term mining funds, so they know what they're doing, they know the game. So they like us for our technical. They like the project, they like the geology, they like the numbers. So they look at the stuff. And they like the fact that we're offering two different ways of doing it. We have a near-term production, small but high grade, and there's really big untouched exploration projects. And their view is, Pepas is the valuation, the rest is for free. So they like that optionality that gives them. And they also like the fact that we have this listing in the UK, which gives liquidity. So they can hold in Canada, but they can trade in the UK. So it kind of, we work well for them. So they're very happy. In Zurich last week, yes, there are mining funds, but there's also this large group of family offices and hedge funds that sort of are somewhat new to the game, and they see the world running into problems. They talk of the Great Reset. This at some point the bond markets will shut in 2 years' time, and they're seeing gold going to the moon, which is a bit terrifying. So they want to be in the space, but they're facing quite a steep learning curve. So I said, well, okay, if you want gold, go and buy Agnico. Maybe the junior market's a place that needs some more homework. But certainly the appetite there is extraordinary. And every meeting you have, it astounds me to see people that just think, well, we've got $1 billion. I think, who are these people? There's so many pockets of money that are sitting around North America and Europe that I've never heard of, that have more zeros than I can count. So the gold appetite is not going away. So it's I'm not saying we're going to go to the moon, but certainly it's just the beginning.
It's a learning curve for you as well, I would have thought, Brad, encountering all these different institutions with their different needs and demands.
Well, there is that, and you do have to sort of try to aim yourself to what their needs are, and that doesn't mean we sort of change tack every day. But again, we have the benefit of having different things on offer. So we can be all things to all people. So it is appealing. The Europeans, yes, as a view, do tend to be more focused on that nearer term production. So that gives us the benefit of having a foot in both camps.
Okay. Let's turn to El Pantano, the Argentinian gold project, located in the major Argentinian gold belt. So yes. I read the SP Angel report, broker note, the other day, and they're big on the Argentinian gold belt. And it's a nice phrase, so I've picked it up. El Pantano is a bit under the radar so far. It is certainly getting more to the top of the agenda, but for years, we've never heard of it. Now, what are you hoping to establish with the current drilling program? It's quite a big drilling program. And then what comes next?
I'm trying to temper the market's expectations. I think there's a slightly disturbing view that Pepas is the way exploration works. It's not. You don't walk up and drill the first hole and get that. Exploration is normally, slow, painful, agonising. It's a long, drawn-out process. So we're not going to walk up and drill a monster. That's not what this is about. This is a project chosen for its geology. It shows signs of having a massive epithermal system, but never been drilled. And the challenge there is, well, if it's so big, where's the first hole going to go? And we don't know, so we'll just whack a few in and see what turns up. But history tells us it normally takes a couple of phases of drilling to start to get interesting. And that's the challenge for juniors, because the market won't pay for that. The market gets bought after the second hole. So again, by having Pepas, we have the luxury of being able to do these things. So My view is this program is just geology. All we've done so far is surface work, mapping, sampling, geophysics, nothing subsurface. This is our first attempt to get below the dirt. And the key objectives are, find some structures, find out where we are vertically in the system, show the system is fertile and active, and I'll be happy. And that will then lead us to the second phase. We might get lucky, and that'd be amazing, but ultimately it's just proving the concept. And so far what we've been seeing in the rocks are, it looks really interesting. I think I made the point on Twitter that our first truck of samples has got to the lab the other day. It's a very difficult place to work. It's remote, windy as all get out. I mean, it's the windiest place in the world. It's just horrendous. So it's expecting our first results in the next couple of, hopefully next week. And that looks interesting to us, what we've seen visually, and the numbers will tell. So I don't expect monsters. All I want is hints and sniffs that will tell us that it's interesting. And then we get to the point of saying, well, okay, what do we do then? If we've got this massive project in one of the world's most well-endowed gold districts, that we're going to have this of interesting concepts, again, middle of Q1 next year. So again, end of Q1 next year, we find ourselves with this position of, we've got one resource at Pepas, Aptar near resource, El Cedro concept proven, we hope. El Pantano concept proven, we hope. We have lots of balls in the air. We'll sit down with a bottle of wine and figure out, what we then do next. So it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, very good problem to have. You have lots of optionality, as you might put it.
Well, I think that's key. I mean, to have one project is never a good idea because, obviously exploration by definition is a story of failure. By having multiple projects, you're increasing the probability of success, but you can do things. And our projects, I think the key point is one, that they're big pieces of land in key districts, and the current drill program at El Pantano will pretty much take us to ownership of 100%. It'll get right to the last minute. So we'll own both projects 100%. That then gives us options. We can sell, JV, spin out, we have no plan, but the options exist. And that is, I think, key, that we'll assess the results and assess the market at the time and decide what is the best way to go forward. Which way do we go, depending upon results and depending upon market appetite. So again, we have lots of choices on our plate.
Now, we don't very often talk about financials, Brad, but perhaps
you are
we ought
Scottish
to.
After all.
Perhaps we ought to. So what does the balance sheet look like at the moment? What are the financials looking like?
Actually, very good. I mean, probably one key point is we've got rid of Uruguay, so that's made the balance sheet look a bit less obnoxious. That was smelly for many years as a result of that mine closure. So that was all written off, gone, done, dusted at the last result. So that's gone. But cash is king, and ultimately, I mean, we talk about what makes a junior mining company attractive, and we can. But cash is one of those things people don't talk about. It's a bit impolite. But without cash, you're dead in the water. And again, we were very lucky / clever to have raised money when we did at the end of Beaver Creek, and that's given us a very strong cash balance that, on current burn rate, sees us well into 2027. Now that may accelerate if things go well, but that's done for a good reason. But having removed the prospect of more capital raisings in the near term, you get that market overhang, so we can now just crack on and do things. And that luxury, we're not going to go crazy, of course, but that luxury, being able to do things now without worrying about the next capital raising, is quite liberating. So that really puts us in a strong position. We're also looking at new deals, not in any great rush. Doing deals in the bull market's always a bit wary, but large market cap, cash in the bank, it makes things very, very positive for us as a company. You just remove that risk and that downside.
Okay, my final question for you, Brad. Why should OMI be on any mining investor's watch list? Why Orosur rather than all the other gold plays?
Well, where to begin? Look, it depends who you ask. I mean, a lot of punters talk about the need for management talent, and we don't have any of that, so I'll avoid that question.
You're a terrible man, Brad.
My view is it's all about the rocks. I mean, you can have the best the best talent in the world. But if it isn't there, it isn't there. I mean, you don't make deposits, you find them, and you've just got to have the right geology and lots of it. So I think our key advantage now is that we have two really big projects in two really key belts that look the goods in terms of geology. That's all there is to it. My sense is, and not everyone agrees, that the only competitive advantage the junior miner has is access to the right ground. Everything else is just fluff and bluster. Maybe someone cleverer than me could do it faster, but you just need the right land in the right places. And we've got that. And I think, and obviously at the right time when the market's receptive to that. So to me, it's all about land and rocks. The rest is just, dressing.
Brad George, CEO at Orosur Mining, thank you very much indeed for joining us from London today, for sharing the development pathway for four of your projects. Thank you so much. I'm sure the investors got a lot from that. Thank you.
Donald, pleasure.